Good evening, you're watching UTV Live at 6. Tonight's headlines. Murder in Magherafelt. A man's body is found in the town as police make an arrest. Health on a knife edge. Patients feel the pain as hospitals struggle to cope with demand for beds.
And that's it. It might take 2-3 days before they can get a bed for them. You know, that's how much stress they're under. And nobody can take that stress.
And our politicians open up about facing a rising tide of threats following the murder of the Conservative MP.
I've had to physically remove an uninvited person from my home. That's the type of thing that we experience as public representatives.
Also tonight.
He's kept his cool. What a champion.
He's a real hotshot. Mark Allen wins a Northern Ireland Open thriller.
And today's temperatures were well above average for this time of year, but it is going to start to feel a lot cooler by the end of the week. I'll have the full forecast later in the programme.
A murder investigation is underway after police found the body of a man in a house in Magherafelt this afternoon. A man was arrested nearby on suspicion of murder. Our correspondent Mark McFadden is at the scene.
Well, first of all, I have to stress that details are quite scant. This is very much an evolving scene and the police operation is about to get into full swing. What I can tell you is that lunchtime today, sometime around 12:30, the police service received a report that there was a body inside a flat here at Sandy Braes in Magherafelt. Officers responding to that report did indeed find a dead body inside this property. The police have not yet released the name of the man who died, nor have they disclosed how he was killed. But a short time after the body was found, another man was arrested nearby on suspicion of murder. Now, this property has been sealed off and a detailed forensic examination will get underway later. But as I say, this scene is evolving, and as the police try to piece together exactly what happened here in Sandy Brae, they're keen to hear from any witnesses who may have seen suspicious activity, not just today, but over the last few days. And they're appealing for anyone with relevant information to contact the detectives.
Mark McFadden in Magherafelt. A senior consultant at Altnagelvin Hospital says he fears its emergency department is being pushed over the edge. Staff say they already operate on a knife edge, but with 10% of hospital beds filled with COVID-positive patients, they barely have enough capacity or staff to cope. Our cameras have spent a day behind the scenes in Altnagelvin's emergency department. Gareth Wilkinson has this report.
At the minute, I can't take any patients from ED.
We've been really running on a knife edge.
Do you remember falling? The surge is back again, unfortunately.
And that's it. It might take 2-3 days before they can get a bed.
A day in the life of a hospital under acute strain. Care spills into corridors, patients waiting for beds. 24 hours is common, others wait even longer. June Wilkinson arrived at Altnagelvin's A&E with pneumonia and a blood clot on her lung. It took 2 days to get a bed.
As I said to the nurses, there's more patients than me, and that's really, really ill. They need the beds before I do, like a lot of these ones, and here's got the coronavirus, and the nurses are under enough stress and strain. Like, I feel sorry for them because I couldn't do it.
ED is a bottleneck.
Absolutely filled with about 80 in the department.
Jammed by a lack of free beds. Sick patients can't be admitted to other wards. The hospital's flow reduced to a trickle, a symptom of the pandemic.
We're regularly seeing greater than 200 patients per day, which is a large amount for this unit. And the other problem that we have, 10% of our inpatient bed stock is used up with COVID positive patients. From a bed capacity point of view, we've been really running on a knife edge for many, many years. And because as a general rule, we struggle with the lack of beds, COVID has really made things exceptionally difficult.
Tonight, 33 COVID patients are being treated in Altnagelvin. Most are unvaccinated. Staff in ICU care for the sickest.
I've seen a lot of deaths of young people, even people around my age, it's hard, and the families aren't able to come in to see them. They're not able to be by their side and hold their hand We've had a lot of really tough times in here, and the nurses are really drained.
The scenes here are repeated in other hospitals across Northern Ireland. What's happening has been described as a perfect storm, caused by staff shortages, lack of bed capacity and high patient numbers. And now winter looms.
Well, that is going to be exceptionally difficult, because if we do have even a minor outbreak of flu on top of what we're already seeing, it will be very difficult for us to continue to function as an emergency department.
The Western Trust has appealed for support staff. 2 young brothers are among those who answered the call. Their mum and dad are already nurses here.
They actually immediately responded, so within 2 minutes they filled up their applications online and then submitted it. So they were so happy actually to apply.
I was really glad to work here within 2 weeks. It was really fast, so it was a good opportunity to work here, and it's really nice to help out with COVID as well.
It is all hands to the pump. The pressure is unrelenting, and this evening A&E at Altnagelvin is busy once again. Garth Wilkinson, UTV Live, Altnagelvin Hospital.
Well, joined by Sandy Nelson, who's a consultant in the emergency department at the Altnagelvin. To start with, and briefly, can you describe the pressures that you're under in ED?
Yeah, the pressures here are really unprecedented. We are got 120 odd patients in the department as of about half an hour ago, and over 30 of them are waiting for beds in the department. The waiting room is full, and all our staff are just pushed to breaking point at present.
This winter, do you believe that you can provide care safely?
We'll certainly do the best we can, as we always do, for all patients, but they're certainly not providing the level of care that we would like. We are doing the least worst options in the vast majority of patients, and all we could do is just try and treat the sickest patients first, and those with less serious problems will just have to wait longer, unfortunately, and that's what we're asking for at this time, is just patience while we just try and get around to seeing as many patients as we can. But if you do attend the hospital, you are going to have to wait.
What would be a possible solution to stop a further deterioration, do you think?
I think it's a very complex problem. I think a lot of it comes back to money and services. If we had more nurses, more doctors and more beds, that would make an awful lot of a difference. And also in terms of the community side of things, in terms of carers, in terms of possible step down facilities for patients to be discharged to from acute beds. There's kind of complex needs, and all of these things cost money and require lots of trained staff, and that's only something that can come from very high up strategic levels.
Dr. Nelson, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this evening. Well, in other health news, a new £3 million cancer care unit has officially opened at the Ulster Hospital in Dundonald, designed with the help of patients and their families. However, cancer services remain under immense pressure due to the pandemic. Here's our health reporter, Deborah McAleese.
As recently as last month, these cancer patients were being treated in porta-cabins. They were just across the road, but a world away from this new cancer unit at the Ulster Hospital.
Finding this facility now? Pardon the last place. Oh, night.
The care that they received in that porta-cabin was very high quality, and now our environment matches the high quality care that they're being given.
We're ready? 1, 2.
Despite the odds, this unit was built and opened during the pandemic. But cancer services have been badly hit by COVID, with treatments postponed and late diagnosis.
I think from the person affected by cancer, living with cancer or fearful of cancer, it's an incredibly difficult time, and we need to do as much to support people as possible.
The strain COVID is putting on all areas of the health service isn't easing. And with cases rising in the Republic, health officials here are keeping a careful watch on developments. The Irish government's vaccine pass for indoor hospitality is being hailed as one of the reasons for lower case numbers than Northern Ireland for many months. Pressure remains on Stormont for a similar scheme.
Well, look, it was discussed at the executives actually winter and autumn recovery plan that we should develop a pass, so it's there should we ever need it, and I think that's what we're looking at, or what's been looked at in England as well. But something I've said, we should be looking at developing a pass so that if another jurisdiction across these islands actually introduces it to use. Those people who have taken the vaccine here in Northern Ireland should not be at a disadvantage, so it does give them that ability to use different facilities in different areas, should that be something that's introduced in different jurisdictions.
Outside, COVID restrictions may be relaxing, but the health service is bracing for a double hit of COVID and winter pressures. And after witnessing for himself the strain staff are under, this patient put the minister on the spot.
When do they get their pay rise? It must be due shortly.
Deborah McAleese, UTV Live.
Tributes have been paid at Stormont to the Conservative MP Sir David Amess, who was murdered on Friday. MLAs have been contacted by the police about their personal security in the wake of the killing. Some Stormont members have also revealed their own experiences of harassment, including the Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill, who says at one point an uninvited person had to be removed from her home. Our political correspondent Vicky Hawthorne reports.
Security at Stormont is always visible, but the murder of MP Sir David Amess while meeting constituents has forced everyone to question the safety of elected representatives. As tributes were paid to Sir David in the Assembly earlier, it became apparent personal security, as well as for those who work for them, is an increasingly serious issue for MLAs.
I myself have received numerous threats on numerous occasions, threats that have had to be reported to the PSNI. I made a report to the police last year and an arrest was made as a direct result of an attack. I've had to physically remove an uninvited person from my home.
I was speaking to one of my constituency staff this morning, a young female single mother who told me she feels physically sick at times with the targeted hate and bullying that comes via the phone and email and on social media, and I know she's not alone. I myself have had placards forced into my face and people follow me shouting.
Security at Stormont was significantly increased 15 years ago after loyalist Michael Stone's attempt to attack Sinn Féin's Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness. As well as a lingering anger over the past, politicians believe social media is now responsible for fueling hatred towards them and others in frontline jobs.
I believe that we have quite a volatile concoction right now in our society. We have increased levels of vulnerability when it comes to mental health. We have increased numbers of people who are susceptible and at risk of radicalisation. And then we also have a deep anger that has emerged as a result of this pandemic. And there is a rage and an undercurrent in our society that I haven't seen, Mr. Speaker, in the 10 years that I have been an elected representative.
Too often I hear public representatives being dehumanised by people, dehumanised by the media. We are very much part of this society, not separate from it.
MPs at Westminster came together in a minute's silence for Sir David Amess. Other business halted to pay tribute to one of their own. Politicians here have been united in their shock and sympathy at the murder of a Member of Parliament. The personal testimonies of local elected representatives and their experiences of harassment and abuse is a sobering reflection of the difficulties of their job, no matter which party they represent. The challenge now is what to do about it. Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live, Stormont.
Well, let's talk now to our political editor. Tracy, how much of an issue are threats to politicians?
Well, Paul, I've spent today talking to as many MLAs as possible, and what I heard from them today, I have to say, shocked me. Absolutely every one of them, and I'm talking about politicians from every political hue, talked about the fact that they had been the victims of intimidation, of harassment. And I'm not just talking about social media, because it seemed to them that's just an everyday occurrence, something that's almost a norm. We're talking about threatening phone calls, threatening emails, attacks on their offices, graffiti. One of them talked about their office had been shot up, being accosted in the street, being attacked in their offices. It's something that seems to happen absolutely every day. And the thing that I found most shocking, almost chilling, is the fact that all the politicians seem to take the attitude that this is just par for the course, something that just goes with the job. They know that it's unacceptable, but they know that is the deal. That is what they are facing because they are elected representatives.
Settling it may be, but would they go so far as to say they're frightened?
Well, one of them said to me today when they heard the news about what happened to Sir David Amess, they were thinking that they had spent the day sitting in their constituency office, meeting with various constituents across the table from them, not knowing who they are, knowing that they're strangers. And obviously the thought was, well, you know, that could so easily have been me. But also, too, every one of them spoke about the concern they had for their staff, the fear that they have for their staff. Because, as they say, they're setting up in Parliament buildings. There are security measures. There are police officers. But in the constituency offices, their staff are sitting there in offices with their name over the door, essentially sitting ducks for anyone who wants to attack them. And I think that's where their concern is, where their fear is, if you like.
In a few seconds, what would be the solution?
Very complicated, Paul, because they also know that as public representatives they have to be out meeting the public. If they're going to speak for the electorate, they have to meet the electorate, and in that, because of that, they are vulnerable.
Tracy, thank you very much. Well, as intense talks resume to try and sort the protocol dispute, I'll be talking to the chair of the European Foreign Affairs Committee, David McAllister, on tonight's View from Stormont. And we'll be examining the fractious nature of political relations just days before a service to mark the centenary of Northern Ireland takes place in Armagh. That's View from Stormont tonight, just after 11. The High Court has been told that the alleged former top spy inside the IRA is involved in an outrageous attempt to delay legal action against him. More than 30 lawsuits have been issued against West Belfast man Freddie Scappaticci. He denies he was the agent codenamed Steakknife. The litigation includes a case brought by a Newry woman, Margaret Keeley, over claims she was kidnapped and interrogated by the IRA in 1994. The trial of a former soldier charged with the attempted murder of a man in Tyrone has been adjourned for 3 weeks after he contracted COVID-19. 80-year-old Dennis Hutchings is charged over the shooting of John Pat Cunningham in Benburb in 1974. He denies the charges. The trial is scheduled to resume on the 8th of November. Today marks World Menopause Day, held to raise awareness and break down the stigma surrounding the menopause. 2 local nurses believe there should be more support for women. They're running pop-up cafes to offer a forum of support and to break down taboos.
There definitely was a gap in menopause education, and we felt that we were in a good position, and we're both very passionate about women's health and the menopause from both our own experiences, that we would go on ahead and deliver this service. Women need to have somewhere where they can go and share and just even discuss and have that support network.
Menopause is where mental health was about 10 years ago. And I think there's been a lot of celebrities speaking up. I think that's done a lot to raise the profile, and the cafes, everything that's going on at the moment, well, Menopause Today obviously, is doing a lot for women.
And still to come on tonight's programme.
He's kept his cool. What a champion.
It's Magic Mark Allen as the snooker star stages a thrilling comeback to win the Northern Ireland Open. Rory's back on form as he regains that winning feeling in America. And they're seeing red at Glentoran after Aaron McCary shocks the football world by lashing out at a teammate. Do stay with us. Again, you're watching UTV Live. Sport is absolutely action-packed tonight. Here's Ruth.
Hughes Insurance sponsors UTV Sport.
Good evening. A dream come true. That's how Mark Allen described victory at the Northern Ireland Open. The Antrim player won a dramatic last frame decider against John Higgins, and he did it in front of a full house at the Waterfront Hall. William Esler reports.
An emotional night for Mark Allen as he finally clinched his home tournament and lifted the Alex Higgins trophy. But it had looked like the evening would end in heartbreak for the Antrim man when Higgins moved to within a frame of victory.
Terrific stuff.
8-6 down against John tonight, and to be honest, I was getting completely outplayed at that point. I was getting froze out, I was getting chances at long reds, and that was pretty much it for the best part of 4 frames.
But with the backing of the home crowd at the Waterfront Hall, he was able to rally to win 3 on the bounce and clinch a 9-8 victory.
The buzz towards the end there, the last few balls, honestly wasn't even sure if I'd be able to stand up and pot the last few balls, but every ball I potted in that last clearance, just the roar from the crowd is something I've never ever experienced in my life and maybe never will again. And it just spurred me on. It made me more nervous, but it spurred me on, and I think the realisation of what I was about to do then hit me, because when I potted the green and left myself a pretty much unmissable brown, I could feel myself getting quite emotional, and I've never had that on a snooker table before.
And to top it off, Alan's mum was there to see it, despite a recent illness.
I actually couldn't believe it when I went in at the interval and seen my mum. I really didn't expect that at all, just with her breathing difficulties and being on oxygen 24/7. It's been a horrible 18 months for her, and I didn't think she'd come, because obviously it's dangerous for her being around too many people with COVID still around. But just to see her there, it was an extra little lift.
Alan's success follows fellow Antrimman Jordan Brown's win at the Welsh Open. He's hoping it'll inspire a new generation of players here. William Essler, UTV Live.
Great stuff. Well done, Mark Allen. And well done to Rory McIlroy. He admitted he was almost done with golf for the year after an emotional end to a disappointing Ryder Cup 3 weeks ago. But after winning his 20th PGA Tour title in Las Vegas, he admitted he just needs to be himself.
I feel like the last couple of weeks I've realised that just being me is good enough. And maybe the last few months I was not trying to be someone else, but maybe trying to add things to my game or take things away from my game. And I know that when I do the things that I do well, this is what I'm capable of. I'm capable of winning a lot of events on the PGA Tour and being the best player in the world, something we talked about at the start of the week as well. So it's just a matter of me getting back to playing golf. I'm playing golf my way.
Well said, Rory. Now turning to football, Cliftonville are still top of the Danske Bank Premiership after a 2-1 win over Larne at the weekend. But it was the 2-2 draw between Glentoran and Coleraine that grabbed all the headlines. Glen's keeper Aaron McCarry was sent off for clashing with his teammate Bobby Burns. His manager Mick McDermott says he isn't planning on getting rid of his shot stopper.
1.5 million views on social media and reaction from all over the footballing world. After a thorough review from all angles, manager Mick McDermott hasn't changed his opinion on the incident.
Nothing has changed in my mind. It wasn't a nice thing to happen in a football match, but it happened and it's being dealt with. We can't allow external noise from social media dictate our decisions or change our way of thinking. We're going to move forward. We have a good team. We have a strong group. We have a great bunch of characters in that dressing room. Strong men in there, competitors, passionate. And that's what we want in a football team. One incident doesn't determine someone's future. And I know there's been calls for drastic measures to take place. But as I would sum it up, out of the 1,000 good things Aaron McCarry has done since he's been at Glentoran Football Club, should I punish him for the one incident where he did something wrong? Yes, there will be consequences, but I don't think we can crucify anyone in this situation.
Where do you feel both players are at, and where do you feel your changing room is at after the incident?
Oh, Aaron apologised to Bobby immediately, and there's no issues in the dressing room whatsoever. They're competitors, they're passionate, and they're friends. So there's no trouble in the dressing room at all. It's an incident that happened. It's not nice, but it happened, and we'll now move on.
A review is now underway by the Irish FA's disciplinary committee, and Glentoran's board will also decide what consequences McCarry will face internally.
Glentoran's women made it a season to remember as they completed the treble. They defeated Crusader Strikers 2-0 to win the Irish Cup at Windsor Park.
At the start of the season, obviously it was one of our goals. We knew we held all 3 trophies, and that's what we set out to do. We set out to defend them all, and it was a really, really big task. And to finally play the last game tonight and to do it was unbelievable.
We felt like it was a privilege to be in the position that we were in, also to win the league, the County Antrim, and now the Irish Cup. And honestly, what an achievement! We have to be so proud of ourselves from, not just the starting 11. The bench, our backroom staff. This is one big family, and it takes a squad to win what we've done.
Well done to the women. Now, the World Superbikes Championship will go down to the final round next month in Indonesia. Jonathan Rea is 30 points behind leader Toprak. The Turkish rider won Saturday's opening race in Argentina, but six-time champion Rea fought back to finish second in Sunday's stunning race behind Scott Redding to reduce the gap at the top of the standings.
It's not the best position to enter the last race, but that means the pressure's not on me. You know, it's firmly on hand of Toprak and his team to manage that. I've gone into, I know mentally, you know, even almost having the job done going into Estoril last year and Scott being so many points behind. When I was leading the championship, you still had these doubts in your brain. So I think the points gap's a lot less than it was to Scott last year. So just go out and try and pull the pin and see what we can do.
Great stuff. Ireland's cricketers started their 2020 World Cup campaign with a dominant 7-wicket win over the Netherlands. Curtis Camper took 4 wickets in 4 balls to help his side to victory, only the third man to achieve that feat in T20 international history. And finally tonight, Ulster have confirmed that Will Addison has suffered a double fractured leg in the game at the weekend when they beat the Lions 26-10. That is all your sport this evening. Bye for now.
Hughes Insurance sponsors UTV Sport.
Louise is next with the weather.
Rain wasn't on the forecast. Ah well. UTV weather, sponsored by Phoenix Natural Gas.
Hello there, good evening. An overcast end to the day, but it's still quite mild out there. Tomorrow will be a similar day, but as we head through the week, temperatures will dip significantly. Looking at the Atlantic pressure sequence, low pressure is moving in from the west, bringing various frontal systems, so we can expect some wet and windy conditions over the next few days. As winds change direction, we will notice a definite nip in the air by Thursday. Any of today's rain should clear, so a fairly decent end to the day with some mist and fog over the hills. Rain will push in from the southwest later in the night with some heavier bursts across western counties. Temperatures will hold up between 12 and 14 degrees Celsius, so quite a humid and muggy night to come. A cloudy and damp start to Tuesday, feeling quite murky with low cloud and outbreaks of heavy, possibly persistent rain during the morning. It will turn drier in the west through the afternoon with a few showers following in behind, but it's going to stay breezy and mild with highs of 18 degrees, so 6 or 7 degrees above average for this time of year. Across the rest of Ireland, it's a wet start with a few heavy outbreaks of rain to the east, with low cloud building that'll bring a few showers later in the day, but it will stay very mild again with highs of 18, so feeling warm in any sunny breaks. Looking ahead, it's going to stay bright with a few showers on Wednesday, but it will turn cooler. Thursday we'll see strong winds and showers. It will be drier and brighter by Friday, but it's still going to be very nippy. That's very latest. Have a lovely evening.
Home, happy as you like, even with a little compromise. UTV weather, sponsored by Phoenix Natural Gas.
That's the way it is in Northern Ireland this Monday tea time. The ITV News continues next with Charlene White. From me and the entire team on UTV Live, good evening.